Chase, the campus heartthrob, sat across from me, his voice thick with remorse. Dean, I cheated on the exam and my roommate found out. My score is invalidated, scholarships are gone, and everyone's talking behind my back. I can't live like this anymore. He paused, his gaze drifting towards the towering structure visible from my office window. This school has 20 floors, right? Do you think if I jumped it would end all this pain? Any ordinary counselor would have immediately recognized the red flags, gently steering the student away from such thoughts. But I, a nationally certified psychologist, simply stared at him, offering no comforting words. Tears welled in Chase's eyes. Why aren't you saying anything? He choked out, noticing my silence. Everyone says you're the best psychologist at 9 Capital University. That's why I came to you. He gestured towards the academic building across the way, the very 20-story building he just mentioned. Do you know what happens when you jump from there? I asked, my voice cold. I slammed my hands on the desk, the sudden noise making him jump. Bones shatter, flesh splatters. Gravity crushes your face into a mangled mess. Blood fills your nose and mouth. Your eyes pop out, rolling in your own brains. Chase recoiled, horrified. What are you saying? How do you know what it looks like when someone jumps? Because, I said, leaning closer, my eyes locking onto his. In my past life, I was the one who died like that. My name is Dean, and I am indeed the top psychologist at 9 Capital University. My private practice charges upwards of $2,000 an hour, but my services are free to the university students. This has led many students to see me as a confidant, and I, in turn, have been perhaps too trusting of these seemingly innocent young minds. In my previous life, Chase had also sought me out. He was the star of the acting department, caught cheating on his final theory exam by his roommate, who reported him on the spot. His paper was confiscated, his score nullified. Worse, Chase was already a minor celebrity, famous since his school days. The cheating scandal spread like wildfire, even reaching the university forums. For one act of academic dishonesty, he was on the verge of losing everything. Panic-stricken and desperate, Chase had come to me, the university psychologist. That day, I patiently listened to his woes, spending the entire day comforting him until his spirits lifted. I finally left the office relieved, but before I could go, Chase turned back to me. Dean, he said, I've thought it through about me wanting to jump. Could you keep that a secret? A psychologist's primary duty is patient confidentiality. However, university policy dictated that any student exhibiting suicidal ideation must be immediately reported to the school and their parents. This policy was essentially a liability shield, absolving the university of responsibility should tragedy strike. Yet, from a therapeutic standpoint, it was deeply flawed. As I hesitated, Chase pleaded, if it gets out that I came to you for counseling, the cheating thing will be all over campus. I really won't be able to live with that. Dean, please don't tell my advisor and especially not my parents. His desperation was so convincing, so pitiful, that I believed his remorse was genuine. I'll keep your secret, I agreed. I also hope you'll look forward to owning up to your mistake and learning from it. It's just one final exam. It won't define your entire life. Chase thanked me profusely, claiming he decided to face his error and retake the course. I thought it was over, but the next morning, a frantic call from the university jolted me awake. The Dean of Arts was yelling into the phone. Student threatening to jump. Get to the academic building now. Chase was on the roof of the story building, having been there all night, discovered at dawn by a cleaning lady. Hundreds of students had gathered below, gawking. The dean and other high-ranking officials were present, along with the fire department. From the rooftop, Chase wailed, I didn't cheat. My roommate framed me. How can I make you believe me? He made a show of leaping over the railing, but his hands remained clamped to the edge. Firefighters rushed up and hauled him to safety. Almost instantly, Chase's suicide attempt at 9 Capital University became a trending topic. Hashtag Chase jumped to prove innocence. Hashtag Chase didn't cheat. Hashtag Chase suicide attempt dominated online discussions overnight. Fans were heartbroken, bystanders were shocked. Everyone moved by the plight of this innocent flower nearly driven to death by malicious accusations. Chase's fanbase pressured the university to expel the roommate and issue an official statement clearing Chase's name. Under immense pressure, the university launched an investigation, and inevitably, the blame landed on me. Chase came to the counseling center the day he attempted suicide. Why didn't you report it to the school? Why didn't you immediately inform his parents? I was speechless. I sought out Chase, hoping he could clarify the confidentiality issue, but Chase, facing the university officials, wore a mask of utter bewilderment. Secret? When did I ask the dean to keep a secret? I did come to the dean for help, but his counseling was unprofessional. He even suggested I admit to cheating, but I didn't cheat. Chase looked directly at me. Dean, why are you lying? As a psychologist, if you'd reported my state to my advisor and family, maybe I would have seen things clearly. He shuddered dramatically. The wind on the roof was freezing. If I wasn't desperate, who would stand there all night? Chase clutched himself, a picture of despair, a true actor. Even this performance swayed everyone, including the university leaders. My fiancée, Ivy, stood beside me, giving me a strange look before taking off her coat and draping it over Chase. That day, I was deemed responsible and fired from 9 Capital University. Chase's family sued me for negligence, demanding $500,000 for emotional distress. Chase's fans doxed me, sending dead animals to my door. Raising my family in my despair, Ivy scolded me for being cold and heartless, then turned around to comfort Chase, saying she felt sorry for him. A month later, I stood on the roof of the academic building. Chase was right. A truly suicidal person wouldn't feel the biting wind. I never received the vindication I deserved. Chase graduated, his image as a top student with impeccable character intact, ready for a glittering career. Then I opened my eyes. I was back in my office, Chase sitting across from me, anxiety etched on his face. Dean, could you keep my wanting to jump off the building a secret? Chase began, his voice laced with unease. Why are you smiling? My smile must have been unsettling because a flicker of fear crossed his features. It's nothing, I said, my voice deceptively gentle. Just hoping you realize that if you actually jump, it won't be pretty. You're a heartthrob, the future of the acting world. Don't do anything rash. My smile widened, becoming almost predatory. Chase visibly relaxed, reassured by my seemingly normal demeanor. He repeated his confession word for word, exactly as he had in my past life. As the session ended, Chase reiterated, Dean, I don't want to jump anymore, but could you keep what happened today a secret? Of course, I replied, my smile unwavering. I absolutely won't tell the university or your parents. Wouldn't want to blow this whole cheating thing out of proportion, would we? Chase nodded, relief washing over his face. He was the top student in the acting program. His acting skills were indeed superb. He'd fooled me completely in my past life with his innocent act. Satisfied with my promise, Chase left. I glanced at my watch. 8 p.m. In my past life, the rooftop drama had unfolded within half an hour. He'd used the time to solidify his victim narrative, conveniently blaming the psychologist later. No time to waste. As soon as Chase was gone, I dialed Kyle, his advisor. Kyle, your student Chase cheated on his exam and is now threatening suicide out of shame. You need to handle this. A roar erupted into the phone, followed by a loud thud as if he'd fallen out of bed. Next, I got Chase's parents' number from a startled Kyle. Mr. and Mrs. Chase, I said, my voice calm but firm. Your son cheated on an exam and is now threatening to jump off the building due to shame. Then I called Ivy, my dream girl. Ivy, your precious Chase cheated on an exam and is suicidal, planning to jump off the academic building as we speak. I made call after call, from Principal Hayes to Chase's class monitor, informing everyone. By 9 p.m., shouts erupted outside. Someone's jumping. Thanks to my proactive notifications, the rooftop stairs were packed with pajama-clad students craning their necks. Kyle and Principal Hayes were already there, and the fire department was en route. Chase was indeed on the roof of the 20-story building, but he was safely inside the railing, clinging tightly, terrified of actually falling. He'd barely been up there 10 minutes, already surrounded by the principal and key figures in this scandal had likely heard about Chase's suicide threat. In my past life, Chase had used the suicide attempt to paint himself as a victim. 9 Capital University, under public pressure, had dismissed the cheating allegations, even scapegoating Reed, the proctor, and giving Kim a black mark on his record, which haunted his career. Kim had even been attacked with acid by Chase's fans. The cheater became a star while the whistleblower suffered. I couldn't stand by and watch history repeat. Chase's suicide attempt isn't real, I calmly stated. Reed and Kim stared at me, bewildered. A psychologist shouldn't be so cold when a student threatens suicide. He's using suicide to pressure the university to drop the cheating charges, I explained. If you go up there and change your story saying it was a misunderstanding, Chase will seize on that, claiming you framed him. I patted Reed's shoulder. Reed, you just got promoted to lecturer. Don't jeopardize your career for a moment of weakness. I turned to Kim. Kim, reporting Chase was an act of integrity. You reported it, so stand your ground. Don't back down or you'll be seen as a liar and get a black mark on your record. Scholarships and awards will be out of reach. I knew Kim was a brilliant student from a poor family, relying on top scholarships to cover his tuition. Seeing Chase cheat, others might turn a blind eye, but for Kim, every point Chase gained unfairly was potentially scholarship money lost. He was protecting not just fairness but his own future. The bewildered look in Kim's eyes cleared. He understood. He's just acting. He won't actually jump, right? Kim asked, seeking confirmation. I nodded, outlining Chase's schedule for the next month. He has commercials lined up with top stars. A star with fame and fortune wouldn't kill himself over a small cheating scandal. Think about it. Even if he's expelled, his wealthy family can send him abroad. Chase isn't some penniless student like you, Kim. He has options. He's just using this to pressure the university. If you change your testimony, you'll be branded as a liar, a framer. Just then, Reed's phone rang. Principal Hayes, you're the accuser. Chase is suicidal. Get up there and resolve this. The principal's message was clear. Persuade Chase to come down, and Reed and Kim could temporarily lie to appease him. But the call was too late. Look at him crying, I said. Does he look like he actually wants to jump? The students, finally understanding the truth, began to look at Chase with scorn. A cheating clown. Chase's facade crumbled, but even as his reputation imploded, he clung to the railing, terrified of falling. Selfish people value their lives. I checked the traffic cap. Saturday, 9 p.m. rush hour. The first to arrive wasn't the fire department, but Chase's parents. Initially intending to defend their son, they arrived to find the truth laid bare by student gossip. Mr. Chase, mortified, pointed at his son and roared. The teacher called and said you cheated. I didn't believe it. You disgraced us. As a psychologist, I should have intervened. Countless tragedies showed that parents could be the final straw. Years ago, a suicidal girl had been calmed by firefighters, pulled back from the edge, only for her parents to slap her, calling her an attention seeker. In that instant, she lunged for the edge. I'd barely caught her hand, pulling her back with the firefighters, injuring my hand in the process. It still aches with that memory. Later, that girl, now thriving in a new city, wrote to thank me, saying my aching hand was a reminder of a life saved, physically and mentally. In my past life, I tried to save Chase. What had he returned? Nothing. Chase didn't deserve saving. Even with his father's shaming, Chase didn't jump, nor did he leave the roof. He was waiting for something, the fire department. In my past life, he'd waited until they arrived before staging his leap, ensuring a safe rescue. Finally, sirens wailed in the distance. The fire department arrived, and Chase suddenly turned, his eyes blazing with hatred. Dean, you're the one who told everyone I was suicidal. Before I could deny it, he added. You broke confidentiality. I feigned innocence. You came here to jump tonight. If I hadn't reported it, wouldn't I be negligent? I'd rather die. Chase screamed, attempting to climb over the railing, but firefighters swiftly pulled him back. Chase collapsed, sobbing. It's all Dean's fault. Why did he betray me? Principal, aren't you going to fire this irresponsible teacher? As long as Dean is here, I'll be depressed. Principal Hayes glanced at me, looking cornered. Tonight's chaos demanded a scapegoat. Chase was a public figure. His star power was the principal's biggest concern. Dean, as a teacher, you shouldn't publicly reveal student confidences. I chuckled softly. Didn't you establish the rule that suicidal students must be reported immediately to the school and family? I just followed protocol. Principal Hayes sputtered, speechless. You should be flexible. Besides, if you promise confidentiality, you should keep your word. If not for you, tonight wouldn't be such a mess. I felt sudden understanding. I get it, whatever I do is wrong. If I keep secrets and chase jumps, the university blames me. If I report it, even preventing suicide, I'm criticized for breaching privacy. If that's the case, what's the point of living? I turned, making for the rooftop edge. Principal Hayes panicked. Dean, don't get agitated. Don't run in. The firefighters blocked me even before I reached the railing. Principal Hayes, terrified, dared not mention blame again. Chase glared at me, venom in his eyes. I smirked, passing him on the way down. Anyone can act, as tonight's farce concluded. Ivy finally arrived and Chase and I emerged. From the academic building, my first Ivy glanced at me, then rushed to Chase, draping her black coat over his thin jacket. Chase, you must be freezing. Chase touched, said Ivy. Dean might be angry. Ivy, a university professor and my publicly acknowledged fiancée, was in her 30s, elegant and intellectual, adored by students. 9 Capital University students sometimes crossed campus just for her lectures. Chase was one of her most ardent fans, always seeking her out after class, more eager than her own students. Their teacher-student relationship had become delicate. Had I not been her fiancé, Chase would have confessed long ago. I noticed it, but frankly I didn't care. Ivy and I were childhood sweethearts, inseparable since birth. Dean wasn't inseparable from her in my past life. When I was disgraced, Ivy had abandoned me for Chase. I was long past caring. This woman evoked no emotion, no heartache. Dean, Ivy said, concern etched on her face, ignoring my presence, speaking to the crowd of lingering teachers and students. Before Chase attempted suicide, he consulted you, right, as a psychologist? Why didn't you see the signs and intervene? She turned to me, accusation in her eyes. And that call you made to me, what did you mean? Chase wanted to jump and you didn't care? Even gloating? Chase is just a student. You as a teacher have a responsibility. Are you done? Ivy, I interrupted, too weary to argue. Ivy was stunned. Are you apologizing to Chase? I'll forgive you. I laughed, a hollow sound. For years I've taught you to care. 20 years and you finally learned, but you're using what I taught you to love Chase. Ivy, what gives you the right to demand my apology? Because I'm your boyfriend, your fiancé. Not anymore. I pulled off my engagement ring. I should have thrown this away the moment I Yung Shang. I tossed the ring into her hand. We're done. The ring landed with a soft thud. Ivy looked down, picking it up. When she straightened, I was already walking away, not looking back. I went home and slept soundly. Waking up, I checked my phone, seeing a university announcement. 9 Capital University exonerated Chase's case, calling the cheating scandal a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding resolved. Good for everyone. Chase will retake the exam. No teachers or students penalized. No surprise there, with the scandal so public and Chase a celebrity. 9 Capital University wouldn't risk tarnishing its name. In my past life, the same outcome had destroyed Reed, Kim, and me. This time it was the best I could manage. Principal Hayes didn't bother me. Clearly, my rooftop performance had established me as someone not to be trifled with. The matter was closed with the university's announcement. I took a week off, spending time with my parents, helping them accept my broken engagement. Then I returned to my small villa, tossing all of Ivy's belongings into the trash. There I found a clear plastic box filled with psychotropic medication, some nearing expiration. Ivy hadn't been taking her medication. On TV, Chase's first post-scandal interview. Overview aired due to recent events. I took some time off, Chase said, facing the camera, forcing a deep breath, widening his eyes, seemingly fighting back tears. I've always had symptoms of depression. After the university incident, I suffered a severe psychological blow. I sought help from the university psychologist, confiding deeply. I thought he'd keep my secrets, but immediately after leaving his office, he reported everything to the university, even my parents. Chase wiped away manufactured tears. I trusted him but was betrayed. For the first time, I felt true betrayal. He artfully dodged the cheating truth, shifting blame entirely onto me. After the interview, Chase's fans quickly identified me before the online mob descended. I created a psychologist account, Dean Psychologist 9 at Capital University. I posted an audio recording. My rebuttal recorded the moment I changed. It detailed everything Chase had confessed in my office. I did cheat, but I regret it. Why is Kim hounding me? I just wanted a scholarship. I'm not competing with him. He's so petty. Reporting me is disgusting. I'm busy filming all day, no time to study for exams. Frankly, a star like me taking general courses is already beneath me. Even if cheating is wrong, is Kim reporting me right? My dad's proud. If he knows I cheated, my career is over. The recording went viral, trending for days. Chase, enraged, called demanding I delete it, threatening to sue under therapist-patient confidentiality. Chase, I said coolly, professionally, you can't fault me. Your suicidal ideation lifted confidentiality. Publicly releasing this is a breach of privacy, yes, but you attacked me in the media, so I'm returning the favor. Amplified, before you sue me for privacy, I can sue you for defamation. I earn nearly $1 million a year, and top lawyers consult me. Suing you? I have time and resources. I swirled my coffee, but you're probably swamped, aren't you? Look, I looked at Ivy, whose face was oddly blank, and warned her pretending mental illness will eventually attract real mental illness. A year later, I heard about Chase again. He'd become a famous online art tutor. His account initially featured student artwork, but after some viral videos, Chase himself appeared. Soon, someone recognized him as the former star. Chase even made a video claiming he'd abandoned fame for art education, helping aspiring actors with his looks. Online opinions swayed easily. Chase was popular again. I learned about him because of a recent video solely targeting me. Chase recounted discovering a high school girl in his class in puppy love with a college senior, but her grades were poor. Even after retaking a year, it wasn't enough for her crush's university. She became withdrawn, grades plummeting. Chase said he recognized her problem, talked to her, kept her secret. Unlike some psychologists who exploit student secrets for clicks. This wasn't subtle, it was directly attacking me. But I had no time for his games. I was concerned about the girl if, as Chase said, a high school senior was struggling with puppy love, becoming withdrawn, grades falling, it could be early depression. Intervention was needed. I found Chase's new number and warned him to report it to the school, inform her parents, and get her to a psychologist. This could be early depression. Early intervention is crucial before it affects her college entrance exams. Chase scoffed. Dean, who do you think you are telling me what to do? I'll keep her secret. She doesn't need a psychologist. I'm the best psychologist. I can counsel her. Chase, this will harm her, I warned. She's right here, happy. Chase retorted. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the phone, followed by silence. Then Chase's panic scream pierced my eardrums, triggering a familiar dread, like reliving my fall. A heavy thud, then continuous screams. I drove to the scene. Paramedics had already covered the girl with a white sheet. Her parents attacked Chase. My daughter loved you. Why didn't you tell us? You filmed her. You used my daughter for views. I'll kill you. Chase's hair was ripped out as the parents wailed. Police arrived, taking everyone to the station. Ivy arrived late after giving her statement. She walked me out. This time she ignored Chase. I'm divorcing Chase, Ivy said. I understand your past ordeal, Dean. I'm sorry. She took my hand like childhood pleading. Chase is nothing compared to you. I was wrong, Dean. Forgive me. Can we get back together? Ivy suddenly hugged me, trembling. I heard she'd had a rough year at the university. I guess she'd been off her meds. Dean, Ivy said, clinging to me. You're my medicine. I know because of you I studied psychology. You've always been my cure. Better than any drug. I could barely breathe until police intervened, pulling Ivy off. As she was pulled away, I slapped her. Ivy, you're my dog. Choose another master. Stay there. Don't ever think of coming back. Be happy with your bright moan, Chase. I walked away, leaving Ivy's enraged screams echoing behind me like a cornered beast. I knew the time bomb named Ivy was about to explode. Chase was hounded by the girl's parents. A week later, he escaped the police, returning home only to find Ivy on the balcony, muttering my name. Chase flew into a rage. Thinking of Dean? Miss him so much? Go find him. Am I not enough? You want Dean too. Ivy suddenly clutched her head, collapsing, whimpering. Dean! Dean! No one's better than Dean. She glared at Chase. You dare compare to Dean? Chase pleaded. If I wasn't banned, do you think I'd look at you? Let me tell you, someone two-timing like you I don't value. Dean doesn't value you either. Dean doesn't need you anymore. You're like garbage he tossed away. Understand? Chase turned to leave, not noticing Ivy, pale and despairing, rising behind him. As Chase turned, Ivy jumped from the 15th floor balcony. Chase only caught a glimpse of her falling backwards. By the time he reacted, Ivy lay motionless on the concrete, a pool of blood spreading. Hearing of Ivy's death, I wasn't surprised. I knew she'd die without me. Half a year later I saw Chase. Again, now a prisoner. Only Chase had been there when Ivy fell. Ivy's family sued Chase, claiming he'd raped a drunken Ivy, driving her to suicide. Ivy's family hired a top lawyer, determined to get justice. Chase was sentenced to 20 years for rape leading to death. Sitting opposite him, I barely recognized him. Gaunt, aged, no trace of the former star. His eyes, like a demon's, stared at me. I heard you're sick in prison. I woke up disoriented. I'm a psychologist. I can counsel you. Stop pretending. Chase's eyes wanted to kill. Dean, I remember now, you died, the one smashed to pieces. Should have been you. You ruined me, you made me this way. Hearing this, I realized he did too, but wrong time, wrong place. Starting in prison, realizing now is a bit late. I removed my sunglasses. Actually, you're sitting here unjustly. What do you mean? Do you know why I became a psychologist? Because my childhood sweetheart had schizophrenia. I studied psychology to help her during attacks. She'd tremble, babble, lose control, become violent, suicidal. Chase, you're saying Ivy had schizophrenia? Didn't you notice? It's subtle. Ivy's parents were strict, pushing her to excel. She had mental issues since high school. I continued, Chase, I warned you when you used depression to clean up your image. You should have been ready for mental illness to bite back. Chase was incredulous, recalling Ivy's actions. But she seemed normal. Do you know why she seemed stable? Because Ivy was with me for years. I was her best tranquilizer. I spent 10 years helping her. My emotional support was more effective than medication. Ivy didn't know how to love until I taught her. If I was cold, she should offer her coat. That's a good girlfriend. It took her 5 years to learn that, then she used it to care for you. Even offered you a coat. Right, patients think they're cured, turn their backs on doctors, and those patients never end well. Chase screamed she had schizophrenia. Why didn't the investigation find it? Because you never truly cared about her. Chase laughed hysterically, joyfully. So she jumped because of schizophrenia, not because of me. I'm innocent. If I find her medical records, I can clear my name. I dashed as hope. No records. Ivy was proud. Even her parents didn't know. Only I knew she didn't want records, feared being labeled mentally ill. Only if I testify as a psychologist. Chase's eyes lit up. He almost knelt, begging. Dean, please save me. Everything before was my fault, past life mistakes. I was selfish. Please testify. I don't want to stay here another second. I'll die. Why not? I looked into his tearful eyes, a surge of vengeful satisfaction. Because it's Ivy's secret. As her psychologist, I must keep patient confidentiality. Chase's shock turned to despair. He slammed his fist against the glass, guards restraining him, dragging him back to his cell. His cries echoed, a sweet sound. The next day, Chase died in prison. For him, it was a 2-day experience ticket. I continued as a university psychologist, encountering children pressured by families. I focused on counseling. Selling parents' children's issues often stemmed from parents, the root of the illness. I walked into the sunlight, welcoming my true rebirth. The end. Good night.